Hey guys, and welcome back. In this section, we'll be focusing on some key concepts of Bash shell scripting, variables, and shell expansions. Variables are a vital part of any programming language, including Bash, which is both a command interpreter and a programming language. A variable is nothing more than a label, a name, for a memory location where a value which can be manipulated is stored. To create a new variable, write the name of the variable, followed by the assignment operator, which is the equal sign, and the value of the variable. You can create the variable in a script file or directly in the shell that's running in the terminal. Just to make it easier, for this example, I'm creating the variable in the terminal. OS equals Linux. The name of the variable is OS and its value is the string Linux. Note that it's not allowed to use a space before or after the equal sign. This is not allowed in Bash. Even though in other programming languages this is recommended for readability, it's not permitted here. If you add a space after the variable name, that will be considered a command by the shell, and all that follows will be its options and arguments. And of course, there isn't such a command, since you can see the error message "command not found" in the terminal. If the value of a variable is a string that contains spaces, then enclose everything in double quotes. For example, distro equals, and in double quotes, Kali Linux. I have used double quotes because there's a space in the variable's value. We'll dive deeper into quoting in another section where we'll talk about how the shell processes the command line. Compared to other programming languages like C, Java, or Golang, where each variable has a type, Bash is a weakly typed programming language that does not require you to define any data type at the time of the variable declaration. So, when any numeric value is assigned to a variable, that will work as an integer, and when any text value is assigned to a variable, that will be considered a string. Note that in Bash, there are no floating point numbers, only integers. This is an example of a variable that stores a number, age equals 30. You can also define a variable that takes its value from an existing variable or number of variables. For example, distro equals Ubuntu, and my underline distro equals, and in double quotes, $OS space $distro. And I'm writing echo $my distro. To get a list of all the shell variables and function, run the set command. There are so many, so it's better to pipe the output to grep if you want to search for a specific variable. For example, set pipe grep distro. To define or remove a variable, use the unset command. So echo $distro. This is the value of the variable, and I'm removing or undefining the variable, unset distro. And I'm trying to print the value of the variable again. And distro is not defined anymore. Sometimes you want to make sure that the content of a variable does not change. It's read-only. To declare such a constant, use the declare built-in command with the -r option. For example, declare -r log dir equals var log. And we can use the variable in our scripts. For example, ls $logdir. I'm listing the contents of the directory using the variable. If you try to change the value held in the variable, you'll get an error. For example, logdir equals /etc. This is not permitted. Logdir is read-only. And you cannot unset or delete the read-only variable either. Unset logdir. At the end of this video, let's talk about variable naming conventions. All environment variables or shell variables introduced by the operating system, shell startup scripts, or the shell itself are usually in capitals. Let's see such variables. Echo $path. Echo $user. Echo $home. These are all environment or shell variables and are written in capitals. Echo hist file. Echo $hist size. To prevent your variables from conflicting with these variables, it's a good practice to use lowercase variable names with underscores to separate words. The variable names should be descriptive and remind you of the values they hold. A variable name cannot start with a number, nor can it contain spaces or other special characters like dots, colons, semicolons, exclamation and question marks, and so on. All the following variable names are not permitted in bash. For u equals true. It's not permitted. It starts with a digit. A.b equals 100. It's not permitted. It contains a special character. Or n at Mary equals 100. It's not permitted either. At is a special character and is not permitted in variable names. It can, however, start with an underscore, and apart from that, you can use any mix of upper and lowercase alphanumeric characters. These are all legitimate variable names. U4 equals false. Or server underline name equals Apache 2.5. Or capital A equals 67. As a summary for variable names, you should use lowercase with underscores to separate words. Constants and environment variables should be all written in capitals, separated with underscores, and declared at the top of the file. For example, this is a constant. Declare -r seconds in hour equals 3600. The name of the variable is in capitals. Okay, we are done for the moment. In this video, we've learned what a variable is, how to define a variable in bash, how to list all variables, and how to declare a variable that never changes, aka a constant. We've also learned about the recommended naming conventions for variables. In the next lecture, we'll discuss variable expansion and quoting.